to India and welcome to the Global Gurus Conclave 2019, sir.
Thank you very
How
much.
has your experience been here?
Oh, my experience has been fine. India is a very welcoming country, and we have quite a lot of similarities between Ghana and India in terms of your culture, your respect for parents, your love for spices, which we also love a lot in Africa. And so there are quite a lot of similarities, especially in terms of the family and the youth front.
So, since we are at an educational conclave here, how would you analyze the education system over here to how it goes about in your own country?
Well, I'd say that the educational system is quite similar.
All right.
We are both from the British Commonwealth system.
Correct.
And so our education is very similar. Our court structures are very similar.
Right.
And the similarity is such that my children who have come from Ghana and have entered school at the same age and stage with Indian children, they are doing very well, either outstanding and very good. So this is something which I can see that India and Ghana are very similar. Indian parents are also very much like Ghanaian parents.
Okay.
They really encourage their kids to study hard because that will give them a better future. And this is something which is very similar in Ghana as well.
How do you think has education evolved over the time, since you're talking about how the two countries are the Commonwealth, hailing from Commonwealth? So what do you have to say about how our education system has been able to evolve over the period of time?
Well, I mean, especially in conjunction with this conclave where you're looking at how education system has evolved to improve in our economy and also to create a problem for the youth in terms of their moral fiber and moral decadence, as if you want to put it. I think that there's a lot of similarity, as you rightly introduced. I think that the biggest problem for every child at the moment now is technology.
Right.
Because technology is something which is very good, and the kids have been able to do things which our parents couldn't even do. I mean, the things that my son does now with the computer in terms of robotics, in terms of coding, and when it comes to areas like artificial intelligence or even big data and so on and so forth, they are in a different realm and they have that advantage. But by the same analysis, there is also a sort of two-edged sword with some disadvantages. And some of them is to do with the fact that there's a lot of peer pressure on them. The children are growing up too early. They're not growing up slowly. And it is not allowing them to develop according to the stages that we developed. And what is the biggest reason? The kids before, in my generation or the generation previously, they were very much influenced by their parents. They were influenced by their society. They were influenced by the community. And for those who were lucky to have an education, you were influenced by your teacher. So you could see that that sort of had building in your life. And usually it straightened you. But for the new generation, he's looking on social media. He's being influenced by Instagram. Or he's looking at something on Snapchat. So when you, the parent, you're telling him that this is not good, that person is telling him otherwise on Instagram. And sometimes because of the fame and the glamour, they may be a bit enamored and rather go and listen to them instead of following the dictates and the guiding and loving principles of a parent. Because one thing my parents always told me, and I also tell my kids, nobody can love you more than your father and mother.
That is true.
So when they advise you, you have to listen. But when you have the peer pressure, you have all these various things coming into a sort of deadly cocktail and playing games and hula hoops in the children's minds, then you get to a point where they have a lot of confusion. But then again, too, there's a little bit of area that I would like to transcend, where the speaker before said things like, don't say no to children and that kind of thing. Now, I am of the school of thought that that is one of the biggest problems. Because the kids of today, they are not used to being told no. Can you imagine you going to the army and not being told no? Can you imagine you going to the workplace and not being told no? Can you imagine asking for an interview and not being told no?
Yeah.
Can you imagine going for a job and not being told no? So if the kid is not conditioned to be used to disappointments, to build himself up, that even if there's a disappointment, don't worry about it. Because if at first you don't succeed, try again. That kid would not have built that metal. So by the time he grows up and in the real world, they say no to them. They say, I'm depressed. I need medicine. I need suicide. I need this. I need that.
You don't need yes, ma'am.
Yes, you don't need to always hear yes. Sometimes you say, I want this. Your mother says no. You say, I want to do this. They say no. No must be part of it, except I agree with him that it should be said in a way where you explain the no.
Okay.
You explain why you cannot do it and why you will not do it. And you must be firm.
Okay.
The second thing too is we, the parents ourselves, we are getting confused with a lot of things. Men demanding this, women demanding that.
Right.
And so we have single parenthood. Now, we all know when there is no balance, you cannot be steady.
Correct.
So if the mother is not there and the father is not there, the mother is having to work because the father is not there, or the mother is working and because the father is not there to support in the modern household, there are a lot of fathers who are staying home and running a fantastic home.
Correct.
But if one of them is not there, the burden falls on one to the neglect of the child.
Okay.
And anything that is neglected, even a car, you neglect to oil it, the car will become rusty.
Right.
So after a while, we have rusty children, and they would affect the next generation of people that we are trying to look at and to put into the next generation. And I also feel that as a society, we must learn to let our children understand one thing, that they should enjoy competition.
Right.
You know that now the new generation of children, when there's competition, they finish the race and they give everybody a medal.
Right.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Everybody's first.
Yeah.
How can that be in the real world? It's not possible.
It's too utopian.
Because when you are going to IIT
Correct.
in India, the percentage that gets in is 2%.
Right.
It's even narrower than 8% that gets into Harvard.
Right.
So the child must be prepared for competition. But there are a lot of people who didn't go to IIT who are still successful.
Right.
So if you have a race where all the children win a medal, in real life, if he goes to Olympics and they don't give everybody a medal in the Olympics, will he cope? No. So you have to build reality. And that is the thing that the parents need to give the children, a reality check.
Okay.
So that they prepare the children for the eventual issues in life. I remember one thing my father used to tell me when I did something and he told me off, and I would be upset, and he said, no, don't be upset. Because in the real world, when you go to work, your boss will tell you off, and you don't be upset. You rather try to do better.
Right.
When you go to the army, they'll tell you off, but you don't be upset. You try to do better. These are the things that we should be looking at to improve our society, rather than to be playing hopscotch with the children, always flattering them. You are the best. You are, yes, let's encourage them. Let's tell them that you can do the best.
Correct.
But if you are not the best, we cannot tell you are the best. But we can tell you you can be the best if you put energy, if you put effort, if you put dedication. If you are serious about what you are doing, you will reap the benefits of what you have sown.
Correct.
But you will not be the best if you have not prepared yourself, if you have not broken your back,
Right.
if you have not done long hours in journalism to be able to master your skill as you have, and you are able to do your interview in a composed manner.
Correct.
Somebody who has started yesterday would have to watch you and learn and get there.
Right.
So these are some of the things that I think we should also take the blame for.
So talking about how you mentioned social media here, so do you think it is correct to neglect the trend that is going on? Because why I say this is because there are a couple of institutes, and while I was reading and I was researching, I had come across a couple of institutes who were using social media to their advantage, and they were trying to integrate it into their own education system. Do you think rather than considering it as a bane, we should also consider the advantages or the meritorious part of it and try to integrate it into how into the current generation and our own education?
I mean, this is virtually spot on.
Right.
You have hit the nail right in the middle, on the head, and down into the wood. Because social media is a good thing.
Right.
I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, I am on most other social media chats.
Right.
I am somebody who's engaged. But it is about using the right thing the wrong way that causes a problem. Recently, I went on Instagram and I saw a friend of mine's daughter, who is barely 9 years old, on Instagram.
Right.
She's got a page, she's got followers. She dances there, and we all know how pedophiles love things like this.
Correct.
She's inviting danger. But you see, one thing about children is they are never aware of danger until it's pointed out to them.
Right.
So I told the parents, unfortunately, because the parents are not on Instagram, they didn't know that a 9-year-old child was posting photos of herself dancing, and sometimes in very gregarious ways.
Right.
So that is why I'm saying that we need to let everybody understand that as much as it is a good thing, we must reduce it. TV is a good thing,
Right.
but we must let them watch it to a certain area. Films are a good thing, but the film has an age limit. So we cut them off at that age limit, and so on and so forth. And I think that this is something which is very similar in Africa. This is something which is similar in India.
Right.
I am very excited that the Global Conclave has this year invited other nations,
Right.
other continents, like you've invited me from Africa, to be able to share a global perspective of problems that are same in India, are same in Ghana,
Right.
so that at the end of this conclave, we can find and put together some solutions that would be for the better globalization of the world and for everyone to benefit from.
So how do you think should our policymakers be contributing to the evolution of our education system in both the countries, for that matter?
I think if you leave it to the policymakers alone,
Right.
they will sit down and contort and conjure something that is wooden. But the practicality, as we're talking about, must come from the school,
Okay.
the education curriculum.
Right.
It must come from the parents, how they teach their children. We have a saying in Ghana, teach the child the way he should grow.
Okay.
And when he grows, he will not depart from it.
Okay.
So once you're able to inculcate that sort of basic understanding, basic upbringing, the kid himself, and as the previous speaker said, I agree with him, the kid will be able to understand what is positive, what is negative. Because you must show them yes, you must show them no. Then you tell them that with a yes, these are the things to do to achieve it.
Right.
When they do those things, they will achieve it and become successful. And then we'll all know that, yes, the children of the next generation are moving in a way that is helping everybody to have a better future.
Okay. So you mean it all boils down to the grassroots levels?
Very much. I mean, I think it boils down to the home you're from.
Yeah.
It's very important. The teacher discipline is very important. Then after that, we can have policies for the society to implement. As we also say in Africa, if you don't listen to your parents and your teachers when you're growing up, you have to listen to the police.
Okay. That was such a great insight to hear, sir. Thank you so much, and it was such an honor talking to you.
Thank you very
for
much,
being
Madam
with us.
Deepali. It was
Thank
a
you.
lovely interview.
Thank you. Thank you.